हाय, मेरा नाम है आदित्य। मैं बेसिकली जयपुर से हूँ। आई वॉज इन दिल्ली फॉर 10 years एंड अराउंड 6 years ago I shifted to Bombay. Music started as a hobby during school. I remember I was in fifth standard and there was a our school was still sixth standard and there was this band, marching band in our school. Uh, और हमारे जो बैंड इंस्ट्रक्टर थे उन्होंने आके एक दिन पूछा कि who wants to be part of the marching band and I had no idea what it was. And a friend of mine was sitting right next to me. He told me कि बड़ा मजा आता है तो पीरियड बंक करने में मिलता है. फिफ्थ स्टैंडर्ड में पीरियड बंक करने का आइडिया सोच के आई जॉइन द बैंड एंड इट स्टार्टेड फ्रॉम देयर. So I was basically playing the trombone. Then I shifted to drums. Then I played a little bit of bass with our local bands. Jaipur, my gospel scene used to be really big. There were a lot of schools, missionary schools. I myself was from St. Anselm School. There was Xavier's, and every school had a great cultural background, especially musical. Our principal, Reverend Father Raymond Coelho, he himself was a pianist and he used to play the saxophone. He was very instrumental in developing our musical taste and everything. And we used to listen to a lot of Beethoven back then. And then an uncle visited from London long time ago, and he gifted me some vinyls, scores of them, basically, which had everything from Bhai Gopal Singh Ragi, Kirtan, to Jagjit Singh, to Elvis, to ABBA, to the works, basically. So Herbie Hancock. So I grew up listening to it. I remember I'm a huge Elvis fan, and when I first heard Elvis, the first song was "Love Me Tender," and at that tender age, "Love Me Tender" seemed like a very very boring song. So I was like, "कि ये क्या है?" And cut to some 3 years later, I played that Elvis record again, and I played the B side. And the first song I heard was "Burning Love." And from there on, I got hooked on. There was a lot of rock music happening during those days. Jaipur being a small city, it wasn't well connected, so music used to come only in forms of cassettes to a few particular shops. There were these shop owners who would travel to Delhi or who would travel to Bombay and buy these cassettes, and they'll come and sell it for like a premium. And a friend of mine and me, we used to pool in money together to buy these cassettes. तो डील ये होती थी कि 15 दिन उसके घर पे सुनेंगे और 15 दिन मेरे घर पे सुनेंगे. And there were these music listening sessions जो हम स्कूल बंक करके रखते थे because his mother was a school teacher. Sorry Sumit, but I'm giving it away. So and she used to go to teach at a school. His father would go to work, and that's how we would listen to music. Instruments started happening. Keyboards started happening much later when I shifted to Delhi. I was very young when I went to Delhi, and there were these people that I met. Jaydev ji, जाते ही उनसे पहले मुलाकात हुई. भवानी जी, ये लोग आते थे वहाँ पे रिकॉर्डिंग करने के लिए. और ज्वाला प्रसाद जी. Jwala Prasad ji was an icon, and at that time, and I started playing keyboards, and I had this idea, and I had this sound of harmony in my head, because I used to listen to a lot of Beatles as well. So the chord changes and everything, they were quite nice. They were very musical, they were very entertaining. There was something about it, like you could feel the shift, you could feel the mood, you could actually make out how harmonies lend to the mood of a song, and that I incorporated. I never knew how to play a chord on keyboards. I've never learned keyboards. So, मगर ये note, हाँ, it sounds good. And sort of reading a few books कि अच्छा इसको ये chord कहते हैं, इसको ये chord कहते हैं. And ज्वाला जी incorporated me in this project, जो वानी जयराम जी गा रही थी उस time पे. So that's how I learned how to start writing music in the Indian notation format. And slowly and slowly taught myself how to read and write, staff and stuff like that. And henceforth the journey began because working with so many people. And then I came across the stalwart Jaspal Moni in Delhi. He's my Guruji. And I started working for him. And that's how I started programming in the first place. I had an XP80 keyboard. And that was the only piece of gear that I had. And there was this scene in Delhi. It was Punjabi music. And it was really big. And I could not relate to it because I'd never heard Punjabi music in my life. I'm a Punjabi Brahmin myself for that matter, but हमारे घर में पंजाबी म्यूजिक का कभी कोई कल्चर नहीं था एक्सेप्ट फॉर कीर्तन्स. एंड और हमारे घर में मेरी मम्मी देवानंद के गाने सुनती थी, पिताजी के एल सहगल सुनते थे, नाना जी मेरे के एल सहगल सुनते थे, और मैं खुद एल्विस सुनता था, तो बोनी एम सुनता था. तो एक बड़ा अजीब सा एक कॉन्फ्लिक्टेड सा एनवायरनमेंट था, विच आई थिंक हैज हेल्प मी टू बी वेयर एवर आई एम राइट नाउ. तो उस टाइम पे व्हेन आई मेट जसपाल जी had this sensibility which was beyond imagination at that point in time. उनका compositional sense, his lending theory to something which was heartfelt was something which I had never seen before. because we were we used to play by ear. There was nothing, and then I just recently started learning theory. But how theory and music went together? How do you make music by learning theory, and how do you incorporate theory into an idea which comes into your head? That is what I learned from him. And for a long time, I used to work with a lot of people. Charanjit Ahuja ji, he's the godfather of modern day Punjabi music. He's the one who's basically introduced all the big artists that we know today. And I've worked with him for those 6-7 years. I've worked with Jaspal ji. And then later, when Delhi saturated for me, I worked for Jawahar Hotel for a long time. And Jawahar Hotel was an icon unto himself. This guy, I remember that period of time when all the people from Bombay would travel to Delhi to get an album made from him. That was the indie pop scene when it just hit the market. And I remember meeting Shweta Shetty back then, Shubha Mudgal ji, and all these people. It was a beautiful, beautiful scene. And then later on, as things started degrading in Delhi, because music had become, a means to earn your living rather than being a passion, even for me, for that matter. That was the time when I thought that I had to shift to Bombay. I had the good fortune of meeting Mr. Leslie Lewis back in the day when I was still living in Delhi, and he'd sent me a few songs back in Delhi. He said, "Now you can stay in Delhi, but you can work for me." I had met Mr. Raju Singh then. He'd sent me a few songs to work on, and so slowly and slowly, before I shifted to Bombay, I already had some work coming in from Bombay. So that helped me come to Bombay, and my parents, although they were living in Jaipur, they said, why not? If this is what you want to do, this is the way it should be. So after 10 years of long training and contemplation, I finally made my move to Bombay. And after I've come to Bombay, I've had the good fortune and to work with the best of the people in the industry. And by God's grace, today where I sit, I'm surrounded by the most beautiful musicians and the most beautiful people ever. And I've been drawing my inspiration from so many of them, working with them. I've worked with Gulraj Singh. Gulraj is a beautiful composer. He's a brilliant technician himself. And Ashish Saxena, he's like one of my most favorite engineers. His way of approaching a mix is something that I really, really like. He doesn't act like a producer on the song. He acts like an engineer. He basically translates what a producer wants rather than getting it. And then when you hit a block, that's when he comes in with his sensibilities. You know what, we should do it like this. Saxena being one. Then there are other people. Mohan Koko, I play for a band called Agnee now. I play keyboards with them. The most beautiful bunch of musicians I've ever known. Most gracious. The way they basically incorporate other musicians into their own lives. They invite them over to jam, and everybody gets together. It's a beautiful scene out here. So that's been my journey so far. Today I'm producing for Agnee. Our last 3 songs which I worked on were nominated for GMA. We won the GMA last year for one of our songs, and so on and so forth. It's been a beautiful journey. We just finished shooting for MTV Unplugged, and we've just finished recording a Punjabi album, a Punjabi film, music for a Punjabi film, which I'm sure when you hear it will be something groundbreaking on Punjabi ground. So I've been surrounded by dhol all my life. I still ended up playing dhol, but it's a beautiful album which is going to come out. So by now this is what all I've done, and I hope I keep doing this in future.
So आदित्य, जब आपने इतना काफ़ी लोगों के साथ काम किया, you worked with a lot of big names in different regions of the country, where you were in Jaipur and Delhi and now Bombay. How is it that as a newcomer you were accepted? How did you approach these people? Did you go with a demo? आपने मतलब किस तरह से?
I was very fortunate in that sense. When I came to Bombay, I already knew a lot of people. Santosh Nair being one. He's an old timer. He's been here since the age of dinosaurs, I guess. So I remember, I used to listen to his albums. He's done music for Aneda and BMG Kisan time. He's one of the big names, and he's still a beautiful musician. So I knew him. So he always encouraged me to come to Bombay, and he helped me to meet a few people like Justin Uday and everything. So when I came in, I was already piled up with work. So I never had to go out looking for work. Saibu Simon, he used to work at Joshua Studios at that time. He's with Mr. Hariharan now. Saibu Simon helped me a lot. Because I remember the first day I drove down from Jaipur. So I started in the evening, and next afternoon I was in Bombay. And I called him. I said, so I'm thinking of shifting to Bombay. That was the previous day when I shifted. He said, हाँ आजा. तो मैंने but काम So he said, "तू आ जा." So I said, "Okay, मैं आ जाता हूँ." So and he's a very very sweet guy. So I just came and I dumped my stuff at home and I took my car and I drove all the way to Joshua in Andheri East and I met him and I entered the studio and there was Mr. Hariharan standing right there and I met him a couple of times before with Mr. Leslie Lewis. And he said, "Oh, Aditya, how are you?" And I said, "Sir, I've just shifted to Bombay." He said, "Welcome to Bombay." I think that worked for me. His wishes. He said, "Welcome to Bombay. May you prosper." So I said, "Arey, brilliant." And then I moved into the control room and Saibu said, "Acha, tu aa gaya. Yeah, meet this friend of mine. He needs to do an album. So why don't you guys talk?" And the next day I was on the job. So it was easy for me. I just don't know. I think I was lucky.
But did you play your demos to people, or
I didn't have to.
did you have to? Okay, you didn't.
I didn't have to. That was the beauty of it because with people who come with a certain stature, people who've already proven themselves, when they recommend you, people take their word.
So this is how the industry functions.
See, this is how I think this is how industry functions. See, that's the good side of it, and that's also the bad side of it. If you're known for your work, if people praise you for your work and not for other things, see, praise is praise. Like a singer needs to be praised as a singer. See, you cannot praise, meet the singer and he's a brilliant model. He walks the ramp really beautifully. It can't be done. So when you introduce somebody and when you sing praises, you say brilliant singer. No matter how good or bad the singer is, brilliant programmer. No matter how good or bad he is. But when you say good, you have to say good things and you add some certain things. So if you are not as good, it also backfires because most of the times what happens is I've seen it's all about now the clicks that as we had back in the day. I remember as a kid I'd been visiting Bombay. There is this gentleman called Mr. Kapil Gupta. He's a veteran. He used to be in the rhythm ensembles of almost everybody, Nadeem Shravan and the works basically. He was Anu Malik. He was all over the place. And I remember I used to visit these studios with him as a kid, and he would go and he used to play bongo, and I used to see him do all of this. And I remembered this group, people from this group will not work for the other group. Why? Because people from this group would not let them come in. So it was back in the day. Now it has dissolved, sort of. So if you actually are in in somebody's good books, and for the wrong reasons, you might end up eating somebody else's place. You might end up displacing somebody who deserves it more than you do. So that's a bad scene. But then I think that's why they say luck is the most important factor to survive in this industry, apart from talent. So I think it proves right somewhere, if not everywhere. So that's how it goes basically.
So to a newcomer who's starting off, getting inspired by listening to your story, what would you recommend to anybody who is wanting to become a musician over a period of time?
I don't think there are any formulas because I've been working for quite. I'm young right now, 32. I still consider it young, but at my age, after working for almost 16 years now, doing this, earning my bread and butter through it. It's been 20 years. Remember I started working for Jaipur when I was 11 years old, and I used to get a little money out of there. So earning money through the profession for so many long years, I've discovered one thing, that there is no formula except for one: you need to keep working. And every time you need to make a shift, there are certain sacrifices that you need to make in your comfort zone. So whenever you think you're getting comfortable in a scenario and there is something that you need to seek, you need to break out of it. It's that small little world that you live in. You have to get out of that world and go into something else. So when, as a starting musician, you meet a lot of brilliant musicians along the way, and you start jamming with them, you start making music with them, and that thing goes somewhere. So you need to stick by the venture that you started off with. You need to stick by. You need to see it to the end, and everybody in that venture has to be consistent. But once you've been dragged down, you need to figure out that you just can't live in a comfortable environment and achieve it all. So you need to keep breaking the barrier every time you hit it. You need to keep jumping over the fence, and you need to keep going on and say, okay, today I've reached here. Like at this stage, like when I shifted to Bombay, ऑल आई वांटेड टू वाज कि मैं इसके साथ काम कर लूँ, मैं इसके साथ काम कर लूँ, मेरे को महीने में 10 गाने आ जाएं, उनमें से 2 गाने कोई फिल्म में आ जाएं या 2 गाने कहीं बाहर आ जाएं, मेरे को थोड़ा रिकग्निशन मिल जाए, एंड आई मेक इनफ मनी टू हैव अ कंफर्टेबल लिविंग. नाउ ऑल दैट हैज हैपेंड. Now I feel like achieving something else. I want to work for somebody like a Clinton. I would love to work for somebody like Shankar Hassan Loy. Now these guys are the ones that I look up to when it comes to music. They are there in the film zone. Then again they have their own musical sensibilities, and once I reach, God willing, if I reach that stage when I'm working for them, then I would want to be them. So it's like that. So whenever you want to be somebody else or you want to be in the next position, you have to break free from your own comfortable situation that you're in. You have to leave that chair and walk up to the other chair. The chair is not going to come to you. So every time when you start afresh and you reach a certain destination, don't stop. That's what most of us tend to do. That's what I did for long many years in Delhi. I'd reached a stage and it took me 3 years to figure out, okay, Delhi, I've done all that I could do in my position. Now I need to move to Bombay. So hopefully, if I really, really grow, I'll probably move to Hollywood or probably Spain if I'm too old and just have beer on a beach and just relax.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to do.
Thanks for your time, Aditya.
Thank you so much.